I've already told this story, but I had to make the video private and take it down because after, I guess, growing up a little bit after I made it, I realized that it wasn't the right thing to do to put his name in the video. I mean, it's one thing, if I had his permission and everything else, but, for that to all just be out online like that, I realized was wrong. So, like I said, I had to make it private, but I do want to tell the story. I'm going to be a lot more vague. I'm not going to, say names and stuff like that, but I feel like it's a very important story, something that might be able to hit home with somebody and, might be able to help somebody. So this is the story of how my best friend went a little crazy. So back in around 2009, those were my big rave days. Those were the years where I was really, really into friends and partying and raving and drugs and doing whatever I can get my hands on. And I had a group of friends who, was just as down as I was to do, lots of different things. My friend, that's, I guess we should come up with a name, something that we'll call him Johnny, I guess. Johnny was one of our best friends. If there was anybody who was in, the best friend group, it was him. The first time I met him was randomly at some house party in Fontana, and he came up with my cousin and just looked real out of place. Ever since then, he, was just welcomed into the group. He was, I guess he had a little awkwardness to him, but he was, the homie, 100%. He was a real smart dude, and he was, he went with me to San Diego, and we partied for the first time out there, and we did so many different things. And so what felt like to me was kind of the climax of my rave years was EDC 2010 in LA. The very last one. The one where that 15-year-old girl died and people were rioting and all that shit. Yeah, that one. That was 100% the climax of it all. I felt it there, and I've mentioned it before in past videos. It was like the epitome and just the climax of my friends and my everybody and their rave life. And there was a group of us who continued to rave really hard and still do. And I don't know. To me, it's just like a lot of shit changed in that moment, and I can see it in Johnny's face that's exactly what was happening to him. A week or two before all this happened, there was a exact event where I would say that it all kind of stemmed from. And before I go into detail on that, obviously I'm an advocate for psychedelics and the benefits to doing psychedelics, but I just want to say that I firmly believe that there's no possible way to overdose on LSD or psilocybin mushrooms, but there are ways that you can do psychedelics that can unlock things and trigger things that are already in your mental state, in your brain. And honestly, that's what I think this event did. One of my biggest videos, if not the biggest video on my channel, is Girl Freaks Out on LSD. And that's me telling the story of when I saw my brother's ex-girlfriend completely freak out on acid, from punching the ground to screaming out random numbers and crying and screaming and just having a complete psychotic break right in front of me while I was tripping. And telling the story of that, and Johnny was there when all that happened. So if you really want to get the full idea of what he experienced, you can watch that video. But also keep in mind that Johnny was not about that life, like, at all. He really wasn't. And part of me thinks sometimes, was I that guy who introduced this person, who introduced that person, who introduced that person, and caused him to get to where he is now. And I do feel slight guilt because of it, and especially because to this day I don't know the full extent of exactly what happened, and this is just a lot of hearsay shit. So that day, it changed everything for Johnny. And I think that 2 weeks later, when it was EDC 2010 LA, I could see it in his face that he wasn't about it anymore, and there was something changing in him. and he wasn't even supposed to go, and I think he just kind of did randomly, and you could tell he just kind of regretted it. And I don't know, that was a real big moment for us all, and I think it changed us all, but it changed him for a lot more. As the weeks went by, we started seeing less and less of him. After a while, there was awkward shit that was happening, random little situations, and things that were he was being weird about this, and we didn't understand what was really going on. Um, I think the moment that we knew like something was for sure going on was when he basically accused myself and my cousin of trying to kill him, and I guess plotting to be with his ex-girlfriend or something like that. And which was obviously absolutely not true. So that's when, when we started hearing about stuff like that, that's when we knew like, okay, something's wrong, something's off. And as time went on, there was, I think, just a couple extra, just a couple more times that we even ever hung out, and each time was super fucking awkward, to just getting drunk and like randomly freestyling, which he used to do, and it was hilarious. But this last time he started freestyling and was like literally just talking shit about everybody, like you're not a real friend, and boom, 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 and just like laughing about it, and it was just super awkward. And we started to understand that's just kind of how it was, and it wasn't to the point where we were like not trying to hang out with him. We, it was the homie. It is what it is. But he stopped coming around, and then as weeks went on, we started to hear. Well, I started to hear about situations where he basically was asking for people at their jobs, and he was just not even all there. People wouldn't see him and come and try to talk to him, and he wasn't even able to really hold a conversation. That it was just, he was not all there anymore. And like I said, this is all a lot of hearsay, and I've never talked to him, after all this happened, and I really would love to, but I haven't. And I really hope, maybe things are better right now. Maybe, this is all just bullshit. And maybe we were just that group of friends that he saw as the group of friends that were getting him into doing acid and drugs and shit, and he just didn't want to kick it with us anymore. And maybe that's what it was. But, it's just something that I saw, and, it was a change of a person. And he became from this really cool, chill, funny guy to this very paranoid, scared, awkward guy. And I think that psychedelics had a lot to do with triggering that and pushing that to happen. Though in my opinion, I would think that that was something that was already in him. When I researched about social anxiety and people with social anxiety disorders and stuff like that, then it really makes me see that that is to exactly how it seemed like to me. So I don't know. Psychedelics are a very, very, very strong, important, scary thing, and it's not something that you can really play with lightly. And I hope that whoever is watching this video, that you do understand that. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys already do your thing, and you guys know what's up. And maybe you guys have had a story like that, where somebody who may have had some mental breakdown, or you've seen it up and close and personal yourself. I know myself, there were times where I literally couldn't even drive because I was doing so much acid. Like, I was at a point where I was doing acid like almost every couple weeks, if not more. And I literally just couldn't drive after a while because I was just like constantly tripping, and I had to like stop for a few months before I went away. And that was just just some dumb visual thing I was having with the fucking street. But I've just seen it in my friend Johnny, and read a lot about things like that. So I just figured I'd tell the story because I had to private the original video, but I knew it was, like I said, something that I needed to be told, and something that if anything, somebody can learn from at the very least. I'm not here to say that, don't do psychedelics ever because your friends will go crazy, but you should be very, very, but you should be very, very fucking careful if you are gonna take acid and psychedelics, because you never know. You might have something in you. You might have something in a friend, that is not that stable. And not everybody can do psychedelics and it'd be just like, okay. Just keep that in mind. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for watching. I go by the name of Audible. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. It helps out a lot. And if this is your first time watching me, I make videos every Wednesday. I make videos, telling stories, smoking weed, talking about psychedelics, making music, and all that good stuff. So click the subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate it. I will see you guys next week. Today, I just got done recording 3 songs. I'm working on the album. It's coming. The Return of the Introvert. I can't wait. So stay tuned. I will see you guys next time. Smoke something, drink something. I go by the name of Audible. Peace out.